Hello, hello, hello. Dean McClung, Archer Monologues. Try this one on. Joe Salerno. Joe Salerno. He's a Facebook guy, Facebook friend. A friend in the sense of Facebook friend, not friend in the sense of, he's my next door neighbor and we hang out together. It's an online thing. Well, Joe Salerno, I kind of like the guy. He's a pretty cool guy. He's a bass player in a band. He's a hairstylist type person, barber, hairstylist. And is it South Carolina? North Carolina. North Carolina, I believe. Can't remember. One or the other. One of the Carolinas. And we got acquainted. We started chit-chatting together, back and forth. And he'd post stuff, I'd comment. I'd post stuff, he'd comment. Facebook stuff. And that's fine. I liked the guy, and I enjoyed some of his stuff. I just enjoyed chatting with the guy. We didn't really do any private chats. It was just on the Facebook page. We'd say stuff to each other. I'd say stuff. He'd say something. I'd say something. We'd kind of bicker and argue just a little bit. I didn't argue with him too much. Not in the sense of, true argument. He'd say something stupid, and I'd make a remark about it that was highly intelligent. Seriously. He would say something that just didn't make any logical, rational sense. It's just, where did you come up with this, Joe? What are you thinking? How did you... What brain function did you use to come up with this nonsense? It's just silly, Joe. It's just silly. Come on, Joe. Anyway, we were just kind of like internet acquaintances. I wouldn't even say friends, just acquaintances, and it's okay. And I kind of figure I respect him, he respects me, at least as much as you can expect on Facebook. We didn't threaten to kill each other or beat each other's ass or anything. We were fairly civilized, I think, both of us, and I kind of enjoyed following him on Facebook, and I enjoyed talking to him because I get to express my thoughts on a few things, and he'd talk about various things. And I would be able to express my thoughts in response to whatever he said. Like he would talk about the Bible, I would simply point out that the Bible is mythological nonsense. And sometimes he seemed to take offense at that. You don't understand. And I said, well, of course I understand, Joe. I'm not an idiot. Of course, I could counter that with he didn't understand, obviously. He didn't understand what he's talking about, plus he didn't understand what I'm talking about, which is common. A lot of people don't really understand what I'm talking about because most people, let's say Americans, just don't understand English. And that's kind of bizarre. If you ask me, I don't understand it. What do you mean? What do you mean I don't understand English? Of course I do. I'm talking English right now. Yeah, and but no, they don't. And I've tested out people's ability to understand, read, understand, comprehend the English language and concepts that are expressed in English. I'd almost have to say something like a disclaimer here and say, American English. American. American. I'm an American. Which, to my way of thinking, is Joe was a little bit of an American. And sometimes he said things. He was very intelligent and expressed himself very well, and I understood. He did misspell some words, and his grammar was a little bit off sometimes, but I just chalked it up for being, the fact that he was texting with his iPad or iPhone or whatever the hell, he was using. Texting, that little button you're going to push them with your thumb and shit, and which it would irritate the hell out of me. I mean, I don't even like to program the freaking DVD player. It's enough for me to type on a keyboard from my desktop. But anyway, I thought we were doing all right. I didn't see any major problems. I didn't foresee any of this situation blowing up like it just did the other day, where he just went off on me like a raving lunatic, which is what what Joe, what? And he's like, "You're a liar!" And what the hell? Me, a liar? I don't think I've ever told a lie in my life, so I kind of took offense at that. But I figured, all right, so he's kind of pissed off because he didn't like what I posted on Facebook, and what I posted was. Well, just hold on a second. So what it is, like a raving lunatic. You're a liar, and words to the effect that I'm one of those Hillary Clinton supporters and subversives or something. I don't want to misquote here. I don't want to use the wrong word and say he was accusing me of treason or any damn thing. But it just caught me off guard there. I was like, what? Because I post stuff on Facebook, things that I find interesting or sometimes amusing, and sometimes just I just post stuff. I share it with something I run across on Facebook. I share it with the people that on my friends list or who can access see my stuff, whoever they may be. I post it to public, so anybody on Facebook, anybody as far as I'm concerned, can see it and should see it. As far as I think my audience is the entire population of the world. I'm not, trying to be secretive here. I'm not trying to hide anything. If I believe it, I believe it, and if it's in my mind, I would like to express it to the world. There are opportunities, there are means by which people can have private conversations, if that's what they want to do. And occasionally I do have a private conversation with someone. I say private in that I have the expectation of privacy. And when I'm talking to someone, perhaps about some personal thing that just nobody's business, but whoever it is I'm talking with. For example, I'm talking with some woman and talking about personal issues, personal situations, private, personal, intimate circumstances. And you should interpret that in a general, open definition of the word, intimate. I don't mean like we're having sex. It's the internet. I mean, come on. I know there's cyber sex and all that, but I'm sorry, but that doesn't quite cut it. That's just like a step beyond, imagining, which is fine. I am a very imaginative person, very creative and imaginative person, and the mind is a wonderful thing. But getting back to Joe here, I shared something I found on the internet that somebody else had posted on Facebook, and I shared it, and it was a collection of what's that guy's name? What's his name? He's running for president. What the heck's his name? Oh, let me think. His name eludes me at the moment. Oh yeah, Donald Trump. What a character. All right, so it's a collection of his words, things that he has said at his rallies or speeches that he's made in his campaign for president. And, just his words, just quotes, from his rally. Short words, but short for phrases and stuff, quotes. And this was like a voiceover over a video, over images of an era of time in American history where blacks were mistreated by whites. And to be honest, I was there. I was alive during that era in the 60s and so on, when and earlier times, and later times, 60s area, pretty much. And I can tell you that I was very upset about what was going on in America in regards to the black folk. And I could see the news, there you go, Walter Cronkite and so on, on the news at 6 o'clock in the evening, 6:30, whatever. And they're showing, the black folk protesting and marching and being water cannoned and beaten and and sometimes murdered by the white folk, and it was just awful, god awful. And they putting this on the television, and this was before internet and computers and stuff. It was just god awful, and I got angry. I was like, oh, God damn you people for doing that. You white bastards, you just beating on the black folk and water cannons and billy clubs and murdering them and hanging them and shit. And it just made me angry, because that's just crazy. Treating other fellow human beings that way. I mean, the racial situation today is kind of rough. It's touchy, very touchy, and it just boggles my mind that human beings are still acting like little spoiled brats, and to be on the other extreme of that is acting like fucking lunatics. I mean, why in the world would people do what they do today? It's 21st century. I mean, the civil rights movement from the 60s, that's what, 40, 50 years ago? Half a century? How many generations is that? 1, 2, 2 or 3 generations ago? And humanity has not evolved past that stage, where black folk are just people like me and you and anybody else. It's just, we're all human beings. I was going to say human race, but that's a few words to say about the word race in this regard. But, and there's, today it's like, oh yeah, we got to use that racist word in there. We got to throw racism in there all the time. It's like, you can't hardly say anything anymore. It's like, you're a racist. Like, excuse me, but you're a racist for calling me a racist, so shut up. Anyway, I can't believe that, 50 years after Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement and the very bad treatment of black folk in those days, they've learned nothing. We've learned nothing. I have, but, maybe I have contributed to this stupid racism thing a little. Perhaps contributed to it today by not speaking out enough. I rarely address the issues of racism because of my views, but I'm just dumbfounded when I hear people ranting and raving about it. Now, I'm not saying to black folk, now, let's get this straight. Black. How many people do you know that are black? I don't know too many black folk. Brown folk, maybe. Not black. I mean, I know what the color black is. Black is black. And I see a red door and want to paint it black. The point is, alright, I didn't want to get bogged down with definitions of words here, but black is not appropriate. I'm sorry. Any more than white is, because I don't know too many white people. I've seen a couple of really, white people. They were albinos, but they were white. Like, in the definition of the word white. And they were not black. And they were white. I mean, as paper. And they were an oddity. But I accepted them as people. Just very interesting and amusing. I mean, they were just like unique. And I find unique things and people and ideas to be very interesting. And fascinates me. How does a person get to be like a total albino white person? How does that happen? I mean, scientifically there's an explanation, but aesthetically speaking, I think it's just amazing. But I think of brown folk the same, and I see white folk pretty much in an equal basis. Black, brown, white, Caucasian. It's skin color, it's just tone. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's what makes it interesting. People are interesting because there's a variety of tones, and there are quite a few people with a certain tone, and quite a few people with a certain other tone, and lighter tone, darker tone, more brown, less brown, more Caucasian, less Caucasian, and red, yellow, and so on. It's aesthetically interesting, aesthetically speaking. That's artistic appreciation of color and tone. The idea that a person is a member of a race, which I looked in the dictionary, and the word race is like what did the dictionary say? I should actually look it up and read it verbatim so it wouldn't be accused of making things up and twisting things around. But Like Joe suggested, I did, which I didn't, which kind of makes him a liar, doesn't it? But the point is, the dictionaries of today, well, the one online, dictionary.com, is like, this word is archaic or just discredited nowadays. We just don't use that word in technical, in polite society or whatever. Oh, the dictionary is politically correct. Seriously? I mean, I'm not used to dictionaries having an opinion. You know what I mean? I want to know the definition of the word as it is. Like the word is like when did it come into? When did people start using the word? At what point in history did someone invent the word? And what? Who did that? Who invented the word? Like, the Greeks invented that word, or it's Latin, or in origin, or this word comes from the French word such and such a word. And just tell me the definition, when it came in, and when it was invented, and who you give me some examples of, like, this word was invented in 1550s thereabouts in England. And it meant what it meant at the time it was invented. There are a lot of words that people just totally don't understand the meaning of, and they get the meanings all wrong, and they probably are looking at this stupid online dictionary, and they, you know what? I think that sometimes I think the neocons are messing with the dictionary. Other times I think it's the socialists that are messing with the dictionary. So I had to kind of combine the two, and I figured it's the neocon socialist alliance messing with the dictionary. The mind benders are messing with the dictionary. So it's probably best to go back to an older dictionary back in the 40s, 50s, last century, in other words, and even beyond, to find out what the true meanings of words are, because the dictionaries used to be, they just give you a definition of the word and told you the source of the word and the origins of the word, and maybe a guesstimate about when the word started being used and was invented. And no editorializing in the fucking dictionary. Come on. I think that's really weird. If it's amusing to some degree, because it's a dictionary, you dumb fuck. Shut your mouth. I don't want to know your opinion about what the word means. Just tell me what it means. So, dictionary.com. I think that's the one I use. It's just, we don't use that word anymore. It's not politically correct. I don't need a dictionary to tell me that. That's just pushing it over the line, and just, no, don't. Dictionary. It's like I can't even give you another example. It's just ridiculous. What was the word I was looking up the other day? Anyway, race. And I really, it's kind of like an amusing, it's sort of frustrating actually, when I hear people saying, there's no race, it's a human race. There's only one race, it's a human race. Let me explain it this way. When you use the phrase human race, that's slang. That's not scientific. That's not actually the proper use of the word race, because the correct word to use in that case is species. And by the way, I hear people using the word species and saying something really weird. Something happens with their mouth and their tongue and shit when they say the word species. Species. Like there's a SH in there or something. I'm pretty sure the word is pronounced species. You know, like feces. The rules of pronunciation apply. So, ask yourself, what do I say when I say that word? I say species or species? If you're saying species, you're saying it wrong. Look it up in the dictionary. An older dictionary, because I can't. The rules of speaking English words applies here. I know the word species might be from the French or the Latin or the German or whatever. I should look that up in the modern socialist neocon tampered with dictionary and see what the author of the dictionary's opinion is about that. No. So what we have is species. And the subset of species is, that's the human species. What we have is a subset of that called race, or the races, or the divisions of the species of human beings into subsets called races, and that would be Caucasian. I think I saw the word Mongoloid in there somewhere, and Negroid. And as I understand it, the word Negroid comes from the root word Nigra, which is in a lot of different languages, in European languages, for example, means black. So the word black has been applied to the Negroid race. And don't even start on that African-American crap. I don't know any black folk or brown folk that were ever even in Africa. You know, their great-great-great-grandfather may have been African. But if you've been born and raised and live in America, you're an American. You're an indigenous person of America. Don't argue with me on this either, by the way. I mean, it's monologues. I don't have to listen to your bullshit. I don't have to get into an argument with you because it's radio and it's a monologue, meaning I talk and you listen. And if you want to say something, go ahead. I can't hear you. And if you want to say it to me, get my private number and I'll think about it. You can leave a comment on the radio channel page, but be careful what you say if you do that. Or you can even comment on Facebook or whatever. Just be careful what you say, because I'm kind of sensitive. No, not really. Yes I am. Maybe not. Well, yeah. No. Sometimes. So, getting back to, I know I didn't finish with the race thing, but, you get the general idea. I don't have a problem with people's skin color. I do know that if you're got brown skin, chances are you belong to the brown-skinned race. And if you've lived in America your whole life, and, even your parents have been in America their whole life, and, everybody was born in America, a whole generation back to like about 5 or 6 generations back, you're an American. And you just happen to be maybe a brown-skinned American. So don't give me that African-American crap, because you never lived in Africa. You weren't born in Africa. You probably don't even know where Africa is on a map. If you're typical American, I don't know, Africa's over there somewhere. Name a country in Africa. Brazil? You know what I'm getting at. So anyway, Joe Salerno. He might even get a kick out of this show if he would actually listen to it. And since he kind of defriended me on Facebook, I doubt if he will anymore. He'll probably just ignore me and not pretend like I don't exist. Like, oh, you're a non-person because I defriended you on Facebook. Like as if I just stopped existing simply because, he shut me off. Like the idiot he is. I mean, seriously. Joe, come on. If you just happen to be listening to this radio show, Joe, what the fuck's wrong with you? Anyway, Joe. This is like I'm talking directly to Joe, like I did on Facebook. Hey, Joe, I gotta tell you something. Well, since I can't tell him on Facebook, and since I do have I like him, don't get me wrong, I like you, Joe, but you're just not all that bright, my friend. Sorry, you're not. By all standards and by all criteria, you just don't display a convincing, intelligent person. I'm sorry, you don't. I mean, you talk about the Bible and God and Jesus and stuff. It's just bizarre. But I like Joe, and he's cool. He's interesting. I find interesting people can be not that bright. I know that there are interesting people that are aesthetically pleasing to look at. Joe, maybe not one of those. I mean, I don't mean that insulting way. I'm a guy, and he's a guy, and I just don't look at Joe like a guy. I'm a guy. I'm not gay, so I'm not going to see Joe as a raving beauty. In the sexual sense. But his hair is awesome, though. I wouldn't have my hair like that, but my hair is just not that color, and it's not curly, and I'm not a hairstylist. I mean, I cut my own hair. Don't mistake me. I've been cutting my own hair since I was like 15, 14 years old, or younger, actually 11 years old first time, and been to a barber time like 4 times in my life. Well, since I started cutting my own hair when I was a teenager. And we won't get into my hairstyle and stuff. But anyway, he's a hairstylist, barber, and very good at it. And he probably should stick to that for the most part. Stay out of politics and other things like that. But he's entitled to his opinion, they say. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Not exactly. That's not exactly true, but okay, we'll let that one go. All right, because free speech and all that. Say what you want. Say whatever you want, even if it is stupid. No problem. Except when I say it, of course, then Joe gets pissed off and blocks me and shit. Like, I'm not going to be your friend anymore because you said something I didn't like. It happens. People are like, I don't like what you said, so I'm just not going to talk to you anymore, and you're not going to talk to me anymore. We're just going to part company, and you're just not going to exist anymore. Right. Okay. It's your choice, but your loss, because, I have a good deal to contribute to you and your life that actually would probably be of benefit to you if you would actually receive that information. And I'm not saying it's like gospel or anything. Not suggesting that I'm the only person in the world that tells the truth or tells things logically. There are others, like me, even though I'm unique. Not a unique, unique. There's words, 2 different words there, buddy. You gotta say it just right. Not a unique, definitely not a unique. And I doubt that Joe is a unique. He said he's got 2 very cute, adorable daughters, and they're awesome. And I kind of feel sorry for them that they are being subjected to Joe Salerno's twisted view of things, and probably going to grow up and be, how do I say it, brain damaged, because Joe Salerno's ideas are a bit lacking in intellectual quality. And if those children think, oh, Donald Trump is awesome, he's like the savior of America, he's a superhero or something, like, oh God, Joe, don't put that shit in your kid's head. I can't. Oh, and he's going to be talking Christianity and shit. I taught my little girls about Jesus and like the Bible, and you know what? That's child abuse. Sorry, Joe. That's just child abuse, and it's disgusting. Shouldn't be putting that nonsense in their heads. I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to see it or hear it or read it or whatever, but you shouldn't be putting nonsense in their head. Really, just here's the stuff. Here's the good stuff, and here's the nonsense stuff. And here it is, child, and just let it gel in your mind and get some more information as you grow older and become an adolescent and then an adult, etc. Eventually, and let it gel and come to some conclusions along the way. But let's try to be logical, children. I can't imagine raising your children to believe in mythological nonsense. Really. And I mean mythological, and I mean nonsense, because it's nonsense. I'd like to come up with another word to describe it. It's mythological, not true stuff. All right, because then it's obvious that it's not true. I mean, anybody with half a brain should figure this out. So, Donald Trump. Anyway, I see I wander along, but that's okay. It's, I don't have to follow some line of thought here. I can jump around. I can do that. And you just have to keep up, people. I mean, you can always stop it and, run it backwards and catch up with things that you got messed with. And let's go back to the beginning. Joe Salerno Xing me, deep sixing me on Facebook, but a foolish thing for him to do, I think. But hey, it's his right. He can do it. If he doesn't want to hear the truth about things, then so be it. What can I say? All right, so Joe Salerno did that, and I feel bad because he got all fanatical and crazy on me because of I shared with him the very words that Donald Trump spoke in public, out loud, and apparently on tape, and his words with the imagery in the background of the black folks. Like, I see this one in my mind now. It's like, there's a black guy. He sat down at the counter at a restaurant, and people are dragging him out of there and beating him. And as Donald Trump says, hit them in the face. I want to hit them in the face. And I'm like, what? You're advocating violence? You're advocating assault and battery? A presidential candidate that actually says that out loud in public? Hit them in the face? Seriously? Donald. And you want to be president? Oh, God. And, if he's president and he says things like that in a speech or to Congress or executive order, God, I hope he doesn't issue any executive orders. and he's saying, let's say he's elected and he's president, and he's swearing in, and his inaugural address is, "I want to hit people in the face, and I want all Americans that, if you're good, decent, redneck Americans like me, just go out and beat someone in the face." Just think about that for a second, Joe. Do you want someone to hit you in the face? Although I would have liked to have slapped you a few times, not really physically, but say virtually, bitch slapped you a few times because, you just deserved it because you said something really fucking stupid. One of those is, I'm mad at you because you actually put something on the internet like Facebook that's actually the truth, because it's actually Donald Trump actually saying what he actually said. And the pictures in the background, of course, are examples of what it would look like if people like Donald Trump actually, said, hit him in the face, and he's encouraging violence, and he's against black folk, by the way, and Mexicans and shit, and other decent Americans for protesting. Like, if you're protesting, drag him out of there and hit him in the face. What kind of lunatic says that? I mean, the imagery in the video was of the black folk in the time, back in the 60s, being dragged off of the bench at the lunch counter and beaten about the face. And, just as a side note here, I read Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, and seems to me like Adolf Hitler said something similar to that. In fact, pretty much the same thing as that in his book and in his rallies. See, Adolf Hitler had rallies back in his day before he became the Chancellor of Germany and the Führer and the maniac, lunatic, crazy bastard. But he would have rallies, and people would come to the rallies, and they'd maybe say, "But Adolf, sir, that's just crazy, and that's not right, and you shouldn't be saying that and doing. You shouldn't do that. You're riling up and you're spreading hate towards the Jewish people and shit." And imagine Adolf Hitler saying, "There, hit that guy in the face, drag him out of here, beat the crap out of him." Encouraging that of the people at his rally that are his supporters. Like, "Hey, my supporters, drag that protester that's complaining because I want to kill all the freaking Jews, just drag him out in the street and beat the crap out of him." Imagine that, Joe. So there you go. Sounds like Adolf Hitler to me. Since it's basically same words, and Adolf did it in public and like in his rallies, like, "I got a rally here. Donald Trump has a rally. Adolf Hitler had a rally. Adolf Hitler says, hit him in the face, and Donald Trump says, hit him in the face." And that's just insanity. And you wonder why I call Donald Trump a lunatic. Because, obviously, he is, since he's acting like one. And acting like, a Nazi. Or like an Adolf Hitler. And I'm like, I gotta wrap this up. But, come on, people. Sorry, Joe, but that's just stupid and shit. And alright, I'm gonna let you go. I'll continue this in the next segment. Have a good day.